Hey, what's happening? It's your host Tinto. And if you've ever cried, laughed, or nodded along with an episode, I'd like to ask a favor of you, which will take about 15 seconds. Right now, only 13% of our amazing 6,000 followers on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and other major streaming platforms have rated the show. We're close to hitting 1,000 ratings, and I know you can help make this happen. No typing, no forms, just tap and done. Increased ratings help more people discover the show, and your quick tap means the world to me and to the podcast as a whole. So before you listen to this juicy one, please go ahead and bless us with a 5-star rating. Thank you for listening and supporting the podcast. I see you, and more importantly, I appreciate you.
We used to be best friends, used to do good things together. Oh no, but no more. It's just a distant memory. My homie, buddy, cousin, it all just fell apart. I'm sorry.
Nah, I'm not sorry.
It's just a distant memory. Yeah, yeah. My said, ooh, bestie. Tato Chico, come on. Tato Chico, come on. My nini said, ooh, bestie. Tato Chico, come on. Tato Chico, come on. My nini said, ooh, bestie. Tato Chico, come on. Tato Chico, come on. My nini said, ooh, bestie. Tato Chico, come on. Tato Chico, come on.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
How are you, Tinto?
Stressed because of the amount of effort that's gone into trying to make this connection happen.
The ancestors are not playing ball.
Bruh, the ancestors are playing a really hard game, but glad we're connected and welcome to the Feeling Station.
Thank you very much.
For those listening to the podcast for the first time, it's a romantic family and friendship breakup podcast showcasing stories that people would like to talk about with a view to give you lessons from their experiences. Now, I hope you find today's story entertaining, but more importantly, meaningful. And the podcast, as you may know already, is very popular for two main reasons. The first being I do my best to keep you anonymous by giving you a name from Africa. Are you ready for your name, miss?
Yes, I am. Fire away.
Cool. Your name is Deka, which is Deka. And that's from Somalia. And what it means is somebody who pleases other people.
That's not me.
That's not you. You're going to be the first one with an unrelatable name. So it's Deka. And what are you calling the person you're going to talk about today?
I'll just stick to calling him Dad because this is more about a father-daughter breakup and makeup relationship. Yeah.
Okay. So you're just calling him Dad?
Yeah.
Cool. And the second reason why the podcast is really popular is there are real-life lessons that people are going to walk away with from your story. So what would you like anyone listening to your story today to take away?
The first lesson would be prioritize your peace of mind or sanity. I don't know which one works, but yeah, prioritize your peace.
Yeah, okay. Or your sanity. Cool. You got a second lesson?
And the second one is allow yourself to forgive the people that hurt you.
Eish. This forgiveness thing, yeah, we'll talk about it. But yeah, cool. Do you have any more? It's just those two.
For now, it's just those two.
Those two. Fantastic. So first lesson is prioritize your peace of mind or sanity. And then second, allow yourself to forgive the people that hurt you. Ooh. Deka, let's get straight into it. You want to talk about your dad. That's not a small thing. So the story is yours. Fire away.
Thanks, Tinto. So maybe let's take it to the beginning. In the beginning, the relationship was amazing. You know, like it was your typical girl, father-daughter relationship where your dad is your hero. He is the provider. He is the plug for all things good, right? And if ever I said I grew up struggling or suffering, you know, I'll be lying, to be honest. Like the man held it down. Like he held it down. And the one thing, though, that I could not understand as a child was You know how with Black African families, where you don't just grow up with your immediate siblings.
Oh
They are
yeah.
cousins from maternal and paternal sides of the family.
Yep.
And we had a lot of traffic in our house. Like at any given point, like school holidays, there would be like minimum 7 kids in one house.
Minimum.
Minimum.
Wow.
Minimum. So, well, it didn't really, growing up, I think maybe, let's say junior school, it didn't really affect me that much because everything I wanted literally was done. And as a child, what are your requests really? You don't have a lot of things that you want. You're going to school, you get to you get play dates, you get gifts, you get trips, vacations. So everything was good.
Mm.
And then high school clocked in, right? And I was at boarding school, and at boarding school, you then get to meet a lot of people from different homes. Like you meet people who come from, in quotes, perfect families.
Right.
You meet
Okay.
people from you meet people from broken families. You have the whole cocktail,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And for me, the school I was sent to was a religious institution initially, and it wasn't my choice to go there. It was a situation where my parents converted into a specific religion, and when they converted to that church, I guess in them finding their Jesus, they're like, now our kids need to go to those schools. But then let me explain my experience, because it's going to play a pivotal role in the conversation in the future.
Yeah.
So the school I went to, Christian institution, but the challenge was when you are not when you're not practicing that specific type of Christianity, you meet people who then do not show you the grace that, look, you may consider me lost according to your biblical principles or the whatever the policies of the church, but I'm an individual who prays, who has a relationship with God. I just go to a different church. I've just grown up different to you. So you find that it was a very, very difficult period for me, the transition to just, blend in or just understand the flow of things. Having my big brother helped to sanitize the situation quite a lot, but it wasn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard. Like it was really hard. And there was a resentment. That's when I had a resentment towards the parents that you guys have literally thrown me in a sea of sharks and you expect me to maneuver. You never prepared me for this.
Right.
So I just wanted to leave, at any given opportunity. I was like, you know what? I really want to go. I don't want to be here. And that was always the conversations at the dining room table every school holiday. I don't like this school. I used to love tennis. I still do. I used to love tennis. I couldn't play tennis because on, match days for other schools, you're at church.
Right. Okay.
So, and by the time they moved me, I was playing provincial junior team tennis. And the move to this new school just messed everything up. So the resentment was kind of piling on that, okay, you guys changed school, you changed the school I was going to. Yes, it's a private school, and there are a lot of things I could complain about, but I don't have to, because it's not a problem. They're actually okay. But I just want to be here. I can't relate to people. I can tell you till now, I left after my O levels, but I can count on my two hands the number of people that I still talk to, or the people I consider friends.
Wow. And how long were you at that school for?
5 years. I finished my last year of junior school, and then 4 years of my high school there.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So look, what it is, right? And then after I completed my O levels, the conversation, I think, swayed in my favor because I was like, you know what, guys, I have done things your way. I am done. I'm not going back. I don't subscribe to how the school, is being run and what happens there and the church related stuff. It's not me. I don't want to be there. And I was hurt. And I think over the years, because I was always complaining and there was always something, the parents kind of became a bit more woke. My younger sister had it good because her going to that school, any of those Christian schools, was not an option.
Wasn't an option.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
like it wasn't even for when she switched schools for A level, but it was still not an option to send her to where we went or any other schools within that church.
Okay. How vocal was your brother about the experience? Because you said you had your older brother there, right?
So he's a guy, right? He's a guy, and I think he's more resilient and easygoing compared to me.
Right.
So first year when he went was a nightmare. He was very vocal about how he didn't want to be there. But when he started high school, it was just smooth sailing. Like he could care less. And all besides, he's not exactly a saint. So that school kind of gave him a platform to experiment and do the weirdest of things and give my parents gray hairs and heart palpitations.
Okay. But it sounds like fundamentally, at least, the both of you shared the same sentiment as soon as you landed that, hey man, we're not really feeling this environment here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a culture. It's a culture shock where with the type of like the school we were coming from and versus where we went. It's a complete culture shock.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think yeah, he adjusted way quicker than I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So halfway through my O levels, right? I'm now by myself in high school. Big brother's done. And we lived, where we lived was like a community, right? So, you know how it is. Your dad works with this one's mom or this one's dad and things like that. So, time to go to school. I was a princess. I was daddy's girl. So, time to go to school. You get a driver to take you to school. And we'd pick up one of my dad's co-workers' daughters on the way to school. And would drop her off along the way and we would go on our way, right? Every beginning of term, every exit weekend, like midterm weekend. And for me, initially it was like, oh, okay, we never used to do this before. And Big Brother was still there, but okay, whatever. It is what it is. Who cares, right? And we did it for a whole year. And then I think the last holiday before my exams, my O-level exams, we're sitting at the table. We did vacation school back at school. So we got to go back to school like a week after schools opened.
Okay.
So I get home the last weekend of the holidays after vacation school. And in a random conversation at the table, I threw in oh, Dad, don't forget to tell so-and-so's mom that I'm not going to school on Monday. So she may need to make a plan if she was banking on catching a ride with me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still here for a week. I didn't know. I didn't know that I had just let the cat out of the bag.
You just let the cat out the bag?
Yes.
Okay.
I had no idea what I'd done. I thought I was being helpful. So Dad didn't really respond. And I'm like, oh, okay, but he heard me. Mom did. Mom then started interrogating me. And she was like, how long have you been picking up this girl? I'm like, it's like 2 years now, almost.
Oh, shit.
Like,
okay.
Oh, really? Like, so this is 16-year-old me, oblivious to the realities of life and the challenges in quotes that people face in marriages. This is me thinking, everything is above board. Like, why is mom, why is mom throwing tantrums about something so simple? So mom then asks, oh, okay, but each time you leave the house with the driver, how do you then maneuver? I'm like, oh yeah, then we pass through dad's office sometimes if he hasn't given me my pocket money, or if I need something from dad. If I don't need anything from dad, we just drive to the house and to that girl's house, pick her up, and we go. He was like, oh, has she ever been picked up first before you? I'm like, no, never. It's always me, And mom is fishing and fishing and fishing and fishing. She's like, oh, okay.
And the whole time, both parents are at the table.
They're at the table.
And dad is just quiet.
Remember, it's a full table. It's a full house. So it's a full house, but my big brother wasn't there. He had already started like an internship, so he wasn't at the house. So it's everybody else, a whole lot of cousins and what, and we're all at the big table and we're talking. And I failed to pick up the hints because apparently the other big boys and girls at the table kept, giving me eyes and throwing things and just saying, you need to shut the fuck up. But, it never registered. Girl could not shut up to save her life.
Is it because, sometimes if your brain is not wired to catch suspicious activity, it doesn't. Because it's innocent. And you were speaking innocently, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. And remember, this is my hero, guys. My hero can do no wrong. So I was seeing nothing. Like, I didn't even have, there was that option of something is amiss, not registering in my head. It was strictly, why are you staring at me like that? Like, what's wrong with you?
And these ones who managed to read the room, I'm assuming they were older than you?
Much older than me, yes.
Okay.
Much older.
That makes sense.
So these
now.
are people in the 20s.
Yeah, that makes sense because they've probably had a bit more life experience and may have encountered something similar. Or at least they just have it within themselves to read the room better. Ooh, Shem.
My guy, it was hectic. So, this is girls answering mom's questions like fire. Mom throws a question, girls quick to respond. Everybody's hinting, but the hints are not, they're bouncing
not landing.
off. No, the hints are bouncing off. So, anyhow, the conversation or the meal ends, and then that was the last of the interrogation. Mom never commented. She never asked. She never said anything else after that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that went well. Bit weird, but that went well.
This is what you're telling yourself.
Yeah, like I honestly don't understand what mom's beef is. Like, why is she asking me so many questions? Like, was that even necessary? Oh, my mother extra, guys. That was me. And we move on with life. And I'm like, okay, we're done. And we were done until half term. We came home for half term and we're supposed to go back together. But this time around, mom did something she had never done in my life. My mom was like, I'm the one taking you to school. I am driving.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, whatever. Let's do it. And mom apparently called this lady's mom and says, you know what? She said it in our native language. And she said to her, basically, this habit that you have of thinking that your affair with my husband allows you to get away with utilizing my resources it has come to an end.
What?
I am gonna deal with you.
And you could hear this?
Yes. I was right next to her and I'm thinking, okay. And she had dialed using the landline and I'm like, okay, right. This is scary.
So at that point, that's when you clocked that, okay, dad was stepping out? Or your brain didn't even register at that point?
My brain didn't register infidelity. The only thing that registered is my mom is extra. Why is she acting weird? Like, what's wrong with her? Why is she threatening people? This is not who we are.
Wow. Okay.
Infidelity, and listen, and as far as relationships are concerned, it's not like I'd never had a boyfriend before. Right? I did. And I'd been broken up with my high school lover because he had been cheating on me. But I did not marry the two. That the reason why my mom is upset is because maybe my dad is pulling the same stance that my now ex
had
was
pulled.
doing to me at the time. Yeah. So I just thought, okay.
Is it because you thought grown-ups wouldn't do such a thing? You thought it was a high school thing for kids to do or something?
Yes.
Right.
Firstly, not just grown-ups, my hero.
Oh,
this is my hero.
Yes.
So I think at that point I could have, if it had been someone else, anybody else, I could have said, yes, I can embrace that this is a possibility, that even grown-ups can step out just like high school kids. But not my hero. Other people, yes, not this one. So fast forward, exams come and go. We're back at home. And we get home. We're getting ready for our annual family trip where we'd go with a whole lot of aunts and uncles and cousins. Like it was a big deal. Like just before Christmas, I think a few days before Christmas, would go somewhere. One of the local tourist attractions in Zim would alternate.
Yeah.
So for that year, we were traveling to Victoria Falls. We'd been before, but this time what made it fun was majority of us were now above 16. We're now thinking, okay, now we're kind of like adults, like, now we're kind of mature. We can get away with doing a lot of things that the parents would refuse for us to do during other trips. So we're getting ready. Everybody's hyped up. My older brothers, everybody's excited, for the trip. And we packed our bags. All right. We got into 2 cars, which was weird because we could fit. It was supposed to be the 6 of us, 4 kids and the parents. But we packed 2 cars and everybody just looked at each other, like the kids, except for my little sister was so young, so she had no idea what was going on.
Right.
So it's like the boys and me, and we're looking at each other and we're asking each other, what is going on? Like, what is this? A family trip with 2 cars? Okay. Weird. So we drive to my aunt's house, and she was like maybe an 2-hour drive away from where we were staying at the time. Right. And that's where we're all supposed to sleep. So we get to my aunt's house and we sleep. And then the next day, everybody wakes up early in the morning, and everybody, you know how parents are, put your bags outside, let's pack the cars, let's go. We need to hit the road. We need to be in Harare tonight so that we leave for Vic Falls tomorrow. So in all the commotion of packing bags and everything, the boys are like, oh, okay, so they're packing the cars we came with. And then my aunt comes and says, I don't think these are the cars going. Did you check with your dad?
Right.
And so my brother then walks into the house and then says to Dad, Auntie said I should check with you if we're packing both cars. Like, no. Leave my car and pack your mom's car and then your uncle's car. I'm like, oh. So my brother didn't ask. Because I think prior to that, he'd had a conversation with Mom. So he knew what was going on from mom's perspective. So he didn't put up a fight or ask a lot of questions. He just did what he was told, packed 1 car.
What was that conversation?
So basically, Mom had told him about the whole incident that started from at the table, that your sister let out the cat of the bag, that your dad is stepping out on me, and I now have proof. I got his printout for his cell phone. I got his printout, and coincidentally, each time he's taking work trips in quotes, he's with her. He's with her, and they're calling each other a lot. And you know, I have my aunt, the one who had stayed with, apparently had caught them at some point having lunch, and she had threatened the living daylights out of this woman as well. So mom had confided all that in Big Brother. So Big Brother knew that things were not okay. Something was seriously amiss.
I know. I know you're telling a story. You're grown now.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your mom opening up to your sibling about dad's affair? I mean, was he old enough to be able to stomach that kind of stuff?
He was 20. He was 20. And as to his maturity at the time, I personally don't think he had the stomach for it.
Yeah.
But because he was close to mom, I think maybe that overprotectiveness for his mom just, came through, and he listened, or he gave her whatever support he could at that stage. But there's not a lot. He couldn't even advise her. There's not a lot he could have done. Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. I'm trying to imagine 20-year-old me hearing something like that. For starters, it's going to ruin whatever hero look that I have of a parent. But you know what next? By 20, I think I dealt with just one heartbreak in high school.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I think where the conversation is going, I think we're going to be able to address this that you're bringing up now. Yeah.
Cool.
So fast forward, cars are packed, and now it's time to go. And then mom says to my dad, I'm not the one that's going to break your daughter's heart. You do that all on your own. I was in the bedroom that they had slept in. I was sitting on the bed, and mom was like, tidying up my hair. And this is 16-year-old me, right? Picking up that there's something wrong, but I just couldn't figure out what it was. Like weird things are happening. So mom says, you do it on your own. She's right here. Let me give you some privacy. And mom walked out of the room, and it's now just me and dad. And then he sat on the bed, and he couldn't bring himself to have that conversation with me. From my perspective, I think one reason was, I'm too young to understand.
How old were you?
I was 16.
Yeah.
That maybe it's too much of a burden to share something like that with a 16-year-old. That was one. Two, I think also he has a lot of pride and a very big ego. So I don't think his pride could ever allow him, even now, to humble himself and look bad or confess something that is going to make him look bad. Yeah, so I don't think he had the heart for all that. This is just my thinking, because we've never talked about it after that conversation. We've never gone back to it or referred to it. So I don't have his perspective as to why he didn't open up. So he then says to me, the employees at work are on a strike. And we need to sort out their salaries before Christmas. So if I go on holiday, being the CFO, it doesn't allow me to work with my team to be able to pay these salaries and sort out the strike before Christmas, before things escalate. So I'm like, okay, but make it make sense. If there's a strike for salaries, it means the company is not performing well. So if the company is not performing well, why are we going on holiday?
Exactly.
With what money?
Yeah.
With what money? And he was like, no, we paid for this holiday a long time ago. So this strike doesn't affect the vacation, blah, blah, blah. We said that we've been planning this for, you know, how we plan this yearly trip. So this is not affected by what's happening. The only thing that's going to affect what's happening now is I can't be there with you guys. I'm gonna drive down. By the time you guys come back to Harare, I think we'll probably arrive around about the same time and we'll do Christmas together. It was weird, but as I said, oh, okay, it's fine, right? And we left. And then the following day, we left Harare and we did a road trip with the rest of the family. But you see, you know how the weirdness of it is, you know, you're so used to during a road trip or a family holiday, whenever you want something, you don't go and ask your mom, Mom, can I have money? Or Mom, can you buy some snacks? Can we have sweets? Can we try this activity? You know, these are conversations that naturally the dads are the ones who are handling the money.
Right.
Right. So we were all used to whatever you want to do, you talk to dad. Dad, we want to do this. Can we have money to do that? Can we try this? Can we try that? But now all other cousins are going to their dad. We had to go to mom.
Yeah.
So that is a bit weird because at that time, teenager, mother, not the best of friends.
Oh, okay. Right.
Subtle enemies. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Like we're subtle enemies. We didn't get along. Now I need to humble myself, eat some serious humble pie, and go and ask this woman for sheets, guys.
Yeah.
No, you know. But funny enough, mom was on a spending spree. I think she was also trying to get back to dad, so she didn't say no for anything or to anything. So maybe 2-3 days into the trip, mom then singled out my 2 brothers and me. And she was like, after breakfast, can you guys meet me in my room before we start doing activities? We need to have a conversation. And obviously, you know, as kids, you start asking yourselves and each other, what did you do? It's not me. I haven't done anything. Guys, I was at school all along. I just came back. What did you guys do?
Yeah.
You know? So that was the conversation of a whole lot of back and forth. What did you do? No, it wasn't me. And then eventually, we all assembled in the room. Mom says, make yourselves comfortable. We're going to be here a while.
Ooh.
And then she sat. And that's when she was like, okay, this full disclosure, this conversation, I've had it with this big brother, and she singled out the one we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, I'm going to say a few other things he doesn't know, but in general, he's already aware of what I'm about to say to you guys. And then she says, you know, when you said this girl, you'd pick her up and you do this and do that and do that, right? You exposed some serious infidelity that your dad was getting up to. And then I started doing my own investigations, and it's true. Your dad has been cheating on me with this woman for maybe the past 2 to 3 years. So I was shocked. Like, I was stunned. I wasn't ready for that because he could do no wrong. This is my hero.
Yeah.
And she says, I have evidence, I have phone records. He and I have had this conversation, and it is what it is. Right? So obviously the first thing that comes to your mind as a teenager is, are you guys getting a divorce? What does this mean? And she says, no, we're not there yet, but I think for now we're going to try and work on our marriage and fix things. If it's still salvageable, we'll salvage our marriage. And then we got that whole long lecture of, but he's your dad, you must respect him, he's the head of the home, he's this. And for me, that was the beginning of a very terrible and toxic relationship with my dad.
Right.
Because in as much as I was not my mother's fan, or one of my mom's favorites, in quotes. I think he disappointed me. I just felt like he let me down. Why would you do something like that? Why would you be scandalous like that? You're cheating on mom. Like, what is she not doing? What has she not done? Like, where is she falling short? And like the respect just tanked right there. And then he became someone I did not want to, I could resonate with. Like, he became a complete stranger to me. Right. And where we had been calling him, like I had been calling him using my mom's phone, like calling him maybe 3-4 times throughout the day, updating him on how fun the holiday was, how we missed him, and begging him to catch a flight and join us and things like that. That just that ship sailed like instantly. I didn't know. He called, I think maybe a few hours later, and I was like, can I talk to my daughter? Mom came with the phone. I'm like, nah, he's your husband. You talk to him. He doesn't need to talk to me. I'm good. My sister was 10 at the time. So she was clueless about anything and everything at that time.
Was she involved in the same meeting that all of the...
No.
Okay.
No. She wasn't there.
Okay.
It was just us.
Yeah.
And so for me, there was a borderline resentment. Obviously, for my dad, there was a lot of resentment. But even for my mom, because I then called her out and I said to her, you are burdening me with such a big story like this. What do you expect me to do with my whole 16 years of existence? What am I supposed to do? How do I respect someone who is cheating or stepping out on a spouse? Like, and clearly he can't be the first. Maybe she stayed the longest, but over the years, what have you not been telling me? What have you not been telling us? And there was also a lot of hurt around the fact that he portrayed this image of somewhat borderline perfection, and you're thinking, oh, that was a facade. These are thoughts I'm processing. And I guess in retrospect, when you think about it now, I'm realizing that I was never ready for the realization that he's human.
Oh, yeah.
And he's not perfect.
Yeah.
Like he's like every other breathing human being. I think I wasn't ready for that. He was on a pedestal of perfection in my head, or to me. So yeah, I really wasn't ready for that. I didn't see it coming.
Did you know, just whilst you're saying that, I'm reminded of a saying that I've seen repeatedly, and I think I said it about 2 or 3 episodes ago. And it was something like, we solve half of our problems the moment we forgive our parents for being human.
That is so true.
Period.
That is so true.
It's true, right?
That is so true. Yeah. So the conversation ends. The rest of the trip happens like mom went out of her way to just try and do extra things for us to not think about it and for us to not feel the pinch of someone is missing from our trip. And Big Brother just said to me, don't think about it. Whatever mom said, let's leave it in that room. We'll deal with whatever happens when we get home. But for now, live your best life. Let's have fun. And I'm grateful because he also made sure he kept me busy. We did activities, we're all over the city, painting the town red and things like that. And so it was fun. So the rest of the trip was pretty enjoyable. And then when we got back to my aunt's house, that man was waiting for us with gifts. Tinto, I remember I mentioned how I was spoiled and I lacked for nothing. But oh my God, the Christmas gifts, very teenage girl appropriate. But for me, my interpretation is you can't bribe me even if you try. This is a bribe that I'm not willing to accept. I'm not on this tip. So he had a whole lot of gifts. My sister was excited. Everybody was like, "Oh, thank you," because mom had lectured us about when you see him, be respectful,
Mm-hmm.
do this, don't shout at him, don't call him out, it's not your issue, don't. So we had a whole lot of
Right.
bylaws that we had been given regarding on how to behave. So when he pulled out his gifts, mom just gave us that talking eye that you take those gifts and you say thank you and you keep your mouth
Right.
shut.
Okay. Mm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So we just took our gifts. There was no excitement about Christmas after, like, going forward. Everything was it was a very dull festive season
Mm.
for me, especially. And when the time came for us to go back to our house, I then asked one of my aunts, I'm like, "Auntie, can I come to your house, please?"
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, because I knew that my mom had confided in her sister, so there's no way my aunt wouldn't know what the issue was. So I just said, please can I come to your house? And traditional culture, we don't call my mom's siblings aunties,
Mm-mm.
they are
Yeah,
mom
yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
That's right. Yeah.
So I just said, "Mom, please can I stay at your house? I don't want to go home with these two.
She
I'm not
she obviously
ready."
didn't ask why, did she?
No, she knew.
Mm.
Oh, she
Mm.
knew, because even about the conversation that we had in the side room, mom had told it, "I'm going to talk to the kids." So she knew everything that was going on.
Mm.
So when I said that to her, she was like, "No problem.
Mm.
That's all right. It's okay." I'm like, "Okay." So I stayed at her house, I think, for almost a month, waiting for my O-level results to come
Mm.
out. And when the results came out, I didn't have a choice but to then go back home. Now I have to go home and see this man and face him.
What? But why did you say you had no choice than to go home just because results are out?
So my results were
Mm.
out, and I need to go back to
Oh
school
yeah, yeah.
and do my A
Okay, yeah, yeah.
levels. So there are conversations that we now need to have. Where am I going for my A levels, and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
School fees, him having to settle school fees and things, so forth. So my mom, the one I was staying with, said to me, "You can't be having this. You can't run away from him forever. And now that you want to go back to school, don't leave him to make a decision that you're going to be angry about. Because the assumption is, if you remain at my house, he's just going to send you back to that school you didn't want to be at in the first
Mm-hmm.
place. So if you want to change schools, fortunately or unfortunately, this is the time to have the
Right.
conversation."
Yeah.
So I had to go home. So she took me home, dropped me off, and it was a very formal conversation. Like, "Oh, hi, how are you? I'm good. Results are out." Like, "Okay, what do you want to do?" I'm like, I can go and get them tomorrow." It's like, "Okay, we'll organize a driver to take you to school to get your results.
Mm.
And then when you get your results, what are your options? Which schools were you thinking about? Do you want to go back?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to go back." And it wasn't even a fight. It was like, "No, okay, that's fine if you don't want to go back. So go and get your results. And then in the meantime, I also put a feelers out in a couple of schools that you've listed that you want, and then we'll see which ones can take you."
Mm.
I'm like, "Okay, thank you." And that was it. I got my I got my results and school started. So those 2 years were a blur because um, I was so busy between school and sports and holiday sports and then holiday lessons and stuff. So I didn't have to be there.
Mm.
So our conversations were very civil, very formal. "Hi, Dad, how are you? I need this A, B, C, D, or did you see the circular, or blah, blah, blah. We're closing on Thursday. Can someone pick me up at such and such a time?" Okay, that was it, really.
So at this point, you hadn't had the conversation with him about the affair?
No, no. I tried. I
How
tried.
did you
Like
try?
I got the. So I turned 18 when I was now in upper six, and I got the. I got the courage to try and address the elephant in the room. And I remember we're sitting outside, just me and him, and he's asking about school, and he's venting about how my big brother is just so scandalous, and he continues to live on to his scandalous natures and being mischievous and stuff. And then I found a way to start the conversation, and then I said, Dad, there's something I need to ask you. And I didn't have the courage, but now I do. And he's like, yeah, sure, fire away. Fire away. What do you want to ask? I'm like, Mom said to us that she suspected you of stepping out on her. And Mom had very compelling evidence, and she had a very compelling case to support her suspicions. And then I said to him, whether you did or you didn't, right? The fact that all this allegedly happened, I find it very hurtful to me, because this is not who I thought you were. I haven't been able to sit down like this and have a conversation with you in over a year, and you've never tried to understand why. So even if there was a possibility that maybe you didn't step out, I would never believe that, because I feel your actions support the notion that you did step out on Mom. So he says to me, let me get this straight. You not talking to me for over a year because of my alleged infidelity is supposed to be something that disturbs me. And I'm like, yeah. And then he says, okay, when it comes to my marriage or my relationship with your mom, ungenaphi.
Wow. Okay. That basically says, where do you come in? Like,
yeah, where do you fit
but
in?
why is it relevant to you? Yeah, where's your relevance in all of this?
Where do you fit in? And Dad being dad, that was the end of the conversation. Like your parent, and this is it. There's no point in trying to have a separate discussion or any. This is it. It's a dead end, because he has this arrogance about him that you don't call me out on my BS. Even when I'm wrong, and it's so clear as day that I'm wrong, I will never, ever admit I'm wrong. And not to you or anybody. And you will not call me out. You are a child, my child, and you want to call me out? Nah, never. Never. Not happening. That will never be me. So we never then went ahead with the conversation. It died right there and then. Yeah. And fast forward, I finished A-levels. University wasn't any different. And when I was on holiday from varsity, they didn't even see me. Like, they could literally see me maybe once or twice a year.
Is this because you were avoiding them, or?
Yeah,
okay.
I had to be respectful, because I needed my fees paid. I was scared that he never threatened not to pay my fees, but I just was scared that if I overdo my temper tantrums, then he's going to clap back. And maybe what if he says to me, I'm not paying fees anymore? So I kept things civil enough, just to make sure that my fees are paid, and they're paid on time. Like, nothing changed really. He did the things, but the personal relationship, it didn't exist anymore. And fast forward, university happens, I finish, and then through our customary channels, I then notified my parents that I want to get married.
Oh.
Yeah, that I want to get married, and I got through the same channels. I got the feedback that look, you're still young, but we can't force you. You're done with varsity, so you're an adult.
So that's like 2021?
No. I was 20. I think I just turned 22. No, 23.
22. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, 23. I was just 23, and I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. And the ball's been set in motion. My husband to be and his family have been given a date to come and bring the cows home and do the things. And then a pastor comes, and with his wife, they come on a random evening, and my dad throws a random, oh, by the way, they're here to counsel you about your life choices.
About your life choices.
Like, what?
Right.
I'm sorry, what? But like, yeah, you're trying to get married at 23. You just finished school. You don't even have a job yet, and you you need some Jesus. And the fact that you haven't been practicing the same Christian beliefs that we converted to, it's a cause for concern for us. So I'm like, oh, it's like that. Bring it on. Bring it on. You know, when I think about it in retrospect, I'm like, Decca, you were an idiot. Why were you even allowing yourself to go through that? Because I think the counseling happened for a good 2 to 3 weeks. I'm not sure. And they'd come every second night, and they'll tell you about premarital sex. They'll tell you, and I'm thinking, so you know what? Initially, I was very quiet. I'd literally not say anything. I would give them one-word responses, and then I just woke up one day and I'm like, no, man, these guys, no, why are they wasting my time? This is what I want, and this man who's bringing these people has no right to guide me or tell me about my life choices, because he's not exactly a perfect example.
I see what you mean now. Okay. Right. You know, because he's got infidelity issues. You know, he's got his own life choices that he's made.
There you have it.
You know, so on what basis do you come and say to me that I'm making poor life choices?
There you have it.
We're basically both in the same WhatsApp group, in quotes.
Exactly.
What were some of these poor life choices he and the pastoral team were alluding to? Because one, I know there was the desire to get married early that they're concerned about. Two, the fact that you had not converted to the religion that they were now following. But why are they talking to you about premarital sex and stuff? Did they know you were having sex? Did they catch you? Did they catch some indication to?
Never.
So why was that part of a conversation and the assumption that you were engaging in that?
Because I was not practicing the same Christian beliefs. I was going to the church that my other aunt was attending, the one I spent a lot of time staying with.
Yes.
So these are two different churches. And so naturally, you find that a lot of people from the religion, the Christian denomination my parents converted into, they can be very judgmental.
Okay.
Like, as long as you're not one of us, you are a sinner, or you're very sinful.
And you're doing everything you possibly can to sin.
Yes.
Okay.
So just breathing, it could be deemed something terrible, because there's nothing good. The people, like, it takes me back to remember when you talked about high school, where people don't show you grace when you're not part of their religion or their Christian denomination. It's new to you, because already everything that is normal to me and normal to them are completely different.
Right.
So when they see me, they're seeing chief of sinners. They're seeing the most sinful human being on earth.
This is insane. You know, that the theology and the indoctrination is exactly the same for young individuals at the high school level who are very judgmental. And then your adult being is still suffering from the same thing. So culturally, this is something that's
Yes,
deeply embedded in the religion. Like it's a way
it
of life
is.
for wow.
It is. And it's
Wow.
terrible. Like, it's terrible because when you're a teenager, you don't know any better. You're young
Mm,
and naive about a lot of things.
mm,
But the one thing that is clear as day is we think you're sinful, or we don't think you are spiritually at a level where we would want you to be. You're not at par with us.
damn. Okay.
So yeah, so that's what, and the people I then resonated with, like in high school back then, the people that I was telling you that I still talk to, it's
Mm,
because we had similar backgrounds. We are coming from our different religions
mhm.
into different denominations into this one, so our lives are somewhat relatable.
I see. So I think you said you could count, the number of people that you were close to from that time, and it
Yes,
doesn't get to 10. And
yes,
and it's that small number that you're still engaged with and they were supportive of you at that time now in your life.
yes,
Okay. Eish.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah. So the other need for the counseling was I was very disrespectful, um, taking sides when it comes to issues between the couple.
Right.
So they were told that was his explanation. I was like, no, you need to counsel her because she is very disrespectful. Like, she doesn't respect me anymore because of this alleged incident or
Mm,
infidelity.
mm,
So just you need to counsel her on being a more respectful human being and learning to mind her own business and stay out of adult business.
mm, 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 mm,
So the moment the pastor's wife mentioned that, that is when the whole conversation shifted,
mm,
because now I was like, you know what? We're fighting fire with fire. I'm human, you're human, and nah, I'm not gonna sit here and be treated like this. So the
mhm,
time so they mentioned about premarital sex. I'm like, do you want to do a pregnancy test? Do you want me to pee on a stick right now? I can do that for you. Do you want to take me for tests and see whether or not I'm lying when I say I have or I haven't been indulging?
mm.
Like, I went into some serious disrespect mode, to be honest. That it triggered the worst in me. And I ended up saying, you know what? I think I'm the adult that I am. You're the adult that you are, right? You
Mm.
have things to do in your lives than to come and counsel me about things that you don't even have the bigger picture about. You have come with a perception of me being a delinquent of some sort. So no more conversations. If you keep coming here for counseling, trust me, it's not with me. I'm not part of this conversation anymore. I'm done with you guys.
Mind you, you were very patient. 3 weeks, twice a week. Well,
Oh
three
yeah,
times because you said it was every other day, right?
oh yeah, and
So
because
three
also
visits in 3 weeks.
yeah, and part of the discussions were inclined towards trying to get me to convert fully into that denomination as well.
Okay, okay,
So it was like
okay.
a whole cocktail of things. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And also, by converting me into the denomination, it means I can no longer marry the man I wanted to marry because this is not his church either. So, in
Okay.
as much as you have given me the green light to say you're an adult, you want to get married, go ahead, that wasn't what was on the ground. Those were just fake words.
Interesting.
Those were very fake words. So after that outburst with the pastor and his wife, I was like, you know what? Nah. I went into the living room where he was sitting after these guys left,
Mm,
and I called my mom. I'm like, I need you to sit. And I'm like, listen, I think I've been very quiet and very patient and tolerant about a lot of things. But this we're not doing.
mm,
I feel disrespected by you. Just because I'm your child doesn't mean you can treat me this way. If you don't want me to get married to this guy, why not live your truth and just say we're not ready or we don't want? And
mm-hmm.
then we address that. But if you're going to give me mixed feelings and say, go ahead, then you bring me these people to try and contradict that. Nah. And I think in that conversation, I was like, no, dad then says, no, you see, your problem is you think you know everything. You butt into people's issues. Like, nah, stop right there. I asked you once about the allegations and you shut it down. You didn't deny, or you didn't even acknowledge. You shut it down, which was to me an admission of guilt. Right. But you don't hear, I've never called you out. And after that conversation, I figured there's no point in calling you out because I'll be talking to myself anyway. So here's the thing. So I'm like, here's the thing. I don't think you are well placed to be able to tell me what to do in my life regarding marriage, because you don't have that perfect marriage that you want people to think you have. Like, it was gloves off.
And what would he say to that? Because that's a very direct hit, eh?
Oh, he made sure to, he repeatedly reminded me that I am the father. You are a child. You don't call me out on anything. I don't have to explain myself to you. That was his statement, and he stuck to it. Like, he never flinched. He stuck to that. So I then said, okay, let's see how it goes. Fast forward, girl gets married. 5 years later, she gets divorced.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, I'm not even going to do that I told you so business. I'm not even going to entertain that. Like, never.
I mean,
that would never be me.
It wouldn't be you. but I've just got one question to ask about that.
Sure.
Would an I told you have been warranted based on what they had said before as advice about this particular, not really individual, but the individual's choice of faith and how it then impacted what happened? Were they right? I'm basically asking, were the parents right? Yes or no?
I would say yes and no. Let me explain. Yes, in the sense that one of their concerns was you are making a decision about the rest of your life based on your current emotions.
Right.
You're not looking at the bigger picture. I'm sure there are a lot of red flags that you're overlooking right now. Which maybe in a few years' time, your opinion will be completely different regarding that. So in that regard, I would say they were right. But regarding the choice of denomination, I would say no, because one thing that worked for us, both being Christians and believers of God, we identified our own church, which we made home for ourselves.
Okay.
So, and believe it or not, I think the key issue that made us grow apart and end up going our separate ways was infidelity.
Oh.
And was infidelity. And
who was unfaithful, you or him?
Oh, him. A serial infidel, if I can put it that way.
Right.
Like, so for me, the decision to walk away from my marriage was not because I didn't care about him or love him, and we had a son at the time, but it came from a place of, I don't know how safe I am. I don't know if we're ever going to be, if you're ever going to, like, I don't know what he's doing, basically. I need to look after, I need to protect me.
In any relationship, what people ultimately want at the core of everything, we can talk about money and whatever, is really just safety.
Safety, absolutely.
You want to feel safe emotionally. You want to feel safe financially. You want to feel safe spiritually, physically, the whole works.
Yeah.
And once that safety is not there, the ground becomes shaky. And just like you say, that's the reason why you decided to leave. You didn't feel secure.
I didn't feel safe anymore. I didn't.
You've had a bit of a bad run there.
It gets worse.
Because I was just gonna say, in high school it happened. You witnessed happening in your home. Now it's happened again in yours. Hey, okay.
Yeah.
Well, go on.
So, So now the time came for me to break down to the parents that this is where we're at, and this is how I want to move forward. And then they took me back to their denomination's way of thinking. What will people say? How are we going to explain this to our people from our church? How am I going to be able to stand at the pulpit and preach to people when my daughter is divorced?
Bruh.
And at that point, I was done. Tinto, I was done. And I said to them, I don't care what people say. I don't care what they think. That's their opinion. They're allowed to think whatever they want.
Yeah.
If they want to think that I'm promiscuous or I'm an infidel or I'm whatever I am, that's okay. Let them think that, right? But what I am not going to do is I am definitely not going to stay in this situation which I want out of. So it's up to you how you're going to manage your people, what you're going to say, how you're going to say it. But I'm done with all of this. I don't want any part of it. And they brought me, there's a preacher. Okay, he's good at preaching, but he is one of the elders in their denomination. Very popular also, pops up quite a bit on social media.
Oh, yeah?
Right.
Okay.
And then, so they roped him in. And he was a father figure when I got married. So it's not like he's a complete stranger. So he then calls me up. I was living out of Harare now. So he calls me up and he says, I need you at my house this weekend. We need to have a discussion. I've been given this update that this is the situation and I want to see how best we can maneuver. I'm like, okay, cool. And apparently he called now ex and also invited him, right? So we meet at this guy's house, and he tried that whole marriage counseling thingy of, no, you guys, at least I felt we stomached it because there was no judgment. He didn't bring in the whole denomination way of doing things.
Right.
He acted like a concerned parent that, okay, I want what's best for you. Let's not be too quick or hasty to say divorce is the way to go. Let's see if we can find any other way to try and salvage things. Right. So no, he did his best. I think we did maybe about a couple of sessions with him, but even he got to that point where he was like, you know what, my child, I've tried. This man that you married, he doesn't listen.
And what was he saying that he wasn't listening to? To the fact that he mustn't play with other girls? Or what was the number one issue that he wasn't listening to?
So the number one issue was, why are you still in Harare? You're not working. Your business has tanked, right? Your wife and your family has moved out of town. Wife is working. Why aren't you going there to try and maybe get a job or just to see the opportunities? You're an entrepreneur. Maybe there's something there in it for you. But if you've never been, you don't know. But you keep shutting it down. You don't listen to me. Each time you say, okay, I think I'm going to go in a few days' time just to scout the place and see if I can live there. And if I can do something that will generate some income of some sort. But you never go. It's been how many sessions you haven't gone?
Would that really have helped though? Because you left because you felt unsafe because he kept cheating. So cheating and the job are two different stories. I'm not sure whether that would have been helpful in the situation.
I agree with you. I also don't think it would have brought us back together. But I think from my uncle's perspective, he just thought maybe if this guy is in a new city or a new town, maybe, and he's not working, he's financially deprived, so to speak. He's not in a sphere of influence. Maybe that is going to awaken something in him to be, to stop with the nonsense and be a better person. I think that was his intention. But unfortunately, look, what you think is an ideal situation or how you think it will work out is not really the reality of how things then do actually play out.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So fast forward, divorce comes through, it happens. and now there's open, like it's World War something at home between me and dad, because now I've gone from being that princess, that girl who made a paradigm shift in how things are done in the family for generations to come. I am now the disappointment.
And this is because you chose you and your happiness by
Yes.
choosing to leave a marriage that
Yes.
wasn't benefiting you as a person.
Yes, I chose my peace.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
chose
yeah.
my peace, and me
Mm,
choosing my peace
mm,
turned out to be a problem.
mm,
It turned out to be a problem. So now I'm a disappointment. Yeah, okay, so you got a good job, good for you. You're taking care of your son, well, good for you. You pay your own bills, good for you. But you couldn't even survive 5 years
bruh.
of marriage. So you disappoint me. I hope your other siblings will do a better job.
Mm,
And like that animosity was no longer hidden or in undertones.
mm,
Like it was out there, like in any jabs that being thrown, whatever. So now I I don't know if it's that toxicity or what it was, but I guess maybe him being mean and my mom trying to be a bit more gracious and kind, it then opened up a new relationship for my mom and I, where
right,
we became close.
right.
We became close whilst me and my knight in shining armor drifted
Mm,
into even more and more toxic waters.
mm,
And so now it just became one of those, when we are at your house and we see you, we can have a brief, hi, how are you, I'm good, how's work is okay, and that's the end of the conversation. Where's my grandchild? And you'll be like, there he is, or I left him, I'll bring him next time. Or can you go and pick up your grandchild and my helper from the bus station? They're coming for the
mm.
holidays. Like, okay. So basically, that is how the conversations were going for a very long time. And then in 2017, no, 2018, I was diagnosed with having a tumor,
Mm-hmm.
right? Fortunately, it wasn't cancerous, but it
Mm-hmm.
was very aggressive. It was a very aggressive one.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, Zim being Zim, I needed to find an alternative country to go and get it attended to, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, because apparently at the time I got my diagnosis, there were only 3 surgeons in Zim who could who were qualified to handle my case, but only one of them had that experience, like years of experience under his belt. And he had the most atrociously long waiting list.
Mm.
So on advice of the doctor who diagnosed me, he then recommended I go into the next country and get it done there, like get the surgery and everything I needed to be treated. I had to get it there, right? I didn't need I didn't need money, right?
Mm.
From anyone based on the codes that I had. I didn't need, to be honest, I was good,
Right.
right?
You
I was
you
good.
basically could afford the treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
financially I was in a very good place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do my arrangements, I book my flights and everything, and I leave. So it's not like when I'd get there, I was going to get the surgery done immediately. I had to be there 3 weeks early because there's some tests and things that the doctor wanted to do, and then surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So come towards the time of surgery, like maybe a week before, I'm talking to my mom and I'm like, so when are you getting here? And she says, we're not coming.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, how come? And she says, your dad said no.
Why?
Your dad said, seeing as you've been Miss Independent, doing your own thing, you don't have boundaries. Let's leave you be. You do you. You do you. You know, I've never been so stressed in my life like that. Like, Tinto, I was terrified because I was scheduled for a 7-hour surgery.
Yo.
And post surgery, I was supposed to be in ICU. In fact, I was in ICU for a good 3 days.
Yo.
Right? So when I put all that into perspective, that I don't have my parents' support in all of this, should I just die? Like,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And funny enough, okay, I guess God has an interesting sense of humor, because now when it came to the day before my surgery, my blood pressure just dipped. It was low. And they're like, we can't take you to theater like this. The day of the surgery, my blood pressure was not going up. And they're like, no, they did, like, medically, they started just pumping some drugs into me to try and, whatever, stabilize my situation. But until the doctor then came to me 2 days post the scheduled date and says to me, we can't take you to theater. We have a long ass waiting list. What is stressing you? Who can we call? You need to get out of this headspace I don't know how we can, and then my best friend came to see me, right? And the doctor was at the nurse's station and he saw her by my bedside. And then he came in, closed the door for the room we were in, and then he said, look, I don't know what's going on with your friend. Please help her snap out of it, because if we don't take her to theater tomorrow, we have to discharge her.
Yo.
It's been today's day 3 that we have failed to take her to theater. Please. So after he left, that's when she was like, you need to stop thinking about what's happening with your parents. Focus on the fact that you are a single mother. Your child needs you. Above everything else, your child needs his mom. For once, be selfish with yourself. Don't think about how it affects other people or relations with other people. Focus on you. And it's like, when I was saying God has a weird sense of humor, my aunt came, my dad's sister.
You sound like you're quite close to your aunt, because that's the one whose denomination you following, right?
Yes. So she came, like, she traveled all the way from Zim. So she came and she was like, I hear your blood pressure is low and they can't take you to theater. I'm like, yes. She's like, you need to snap out of it. Because your child, like, she basically said what my friend had just said in a nutshell, like as if they had the conversation prior. And she was like, you know what? We will address this. I will deal with my sibling. We'll do this, we'll do that. But for now, I need you to focus on you. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I did that and had surgery, and then...
So it worked?
No, it did. It did work, because the thought that then came into my mind was, if I don't do what I need to do, what then happens to my child? And that was enough for me to snap out of it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. And I did. And I snapped out of it. And I'm like, right, this is what we're doing. Deka, you need to do what you need to do to survive.
Mm-hmm.
right? And I went through surgery and the post-operation healing phase, which was a couple of weeks, 3 months to be specific. And everything, I went through the steps, therapy and everything. And then when I bounced back a changed person. Like, I could
Mm.
not care less. Like, I could not care less about hurting people's feelings. Like, I became even more vocal than I've ever been, where right now for me, I literally operate on a we don't do gray areas type of thing. It's either black or white.
Mm.
If I'm for something, I'm for it. If I'm against it, I'm not going to mince my words. And I'm not apologetic anymore. I'm not, I've stopped, I've stopped being that person who used to care and be considerate about other people's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes us back to when I was like, "Oh, Deca, the meaning of Deca. This is not me."
That does not relate.
But
I
it's not
know.
me.
I know it may seem obvious the reason why you've become like this, but I want to hear you say it.
Mm.
Why did you become this I don't give a shit person? When the problem really seems like one individual, but it sounds like the rest of the world is about to pay.
So I then realized, I think maybe it made sense, it resonated with me that, yes, my worst nightmare obviously is this one person, right? Um, this person is human. And I think I had been treating this person like they're a god, a saint who
Mm-hmm.
can do no wrong. And they proved me wrong, that no, I am very human and I can hurt you, right? I can hurt you and I will hurt you and other people, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was that was the first realization. The second realization is, you have people like mom and other people, and they're like, nah, allegedly you're in my corner, but at the same time you're not in my corner, because the moment the next person barks a directive, you then go ahead with whatever it is that you're being told, and it's no longer about your personal relationship with me, or what is right or wrong. So even if, like, that whole time I needed you, right? This was the scariest experience I've ever had in my life. But you opted to sit back and stay in the comfort of your home and not show me support. So that also then shows that, you know what? You're on your own. Do you, and I'll do me, right? And I think everything kind of just blew up. Like, remember, we're talking about high school, how people don't show you grace. And you're like, why am I going around trying to be nice to people who aren't nice to me?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I giving that extra love, or that extra part of me to people who do not return everything that I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's how I became that. I really don't give a shit, guys. It's what you give is what you receive. So if you show me love, I've got mad love to give. I'm loyal like that. If you show me that I don't mean anything to you, it's all good. Respectfully, F off. And yeah,
You, you,
I
you-
think this
you're
is.
really coming from a place of hurt, weren't you?
Oh
It
yes.
sounds
Oh
like this
yeah.
is where the hurt is really coming through. And I can see where that is, because we would like to consider ourselves grown ups. But when we are
Mm-hmm.
in really, really, really difficult situations, we always curl up and become children again. So that
Mm.
natural desire for you to connect with your parents in your moment of dire need is just you being a child. It is natural.
Oh yes.
I see it with my son. There's times when he
Mm.
thinks he's a big man now. Of course he's not. He's still very young. He's under 10
Yeah.
years old. But I'm starting to
Mm.
see the cheeky vibe in him, where you can tell he's kind of saying, "Oh, hey, listen, I know a thing or two."
Mm.
But then when something that he genuinely needs help comes through, he curls up and becomes this little cute puppy thing. That shows that I'm still a child and I need that help. And that
Yeah.
was you with the hospital experience. You really
Yes.
went back to being that dependent child that needs support. And whenever you don't get that as a child, it leaves a permanent mark.
Yeah.
That if you've never been in that situation before, you don't know how to deal with.
So you then just have to figure it out,
Yeah.
because like you're saying, the new experience where you don't expect, that type of reaction or
Yeah.
response, and then you're like, okay, so figure yourself out.
Yeah.
How do you then maneuver? And when you do figure yourself out and you find a way to maneuver, then you then say to yourself, I got through it without you, so
Mhm.
I don't need you then.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't need you then.
Mm.
So fast forward to current, right? Um, with this I don't need you type of vibe, right? I come back after treatment, and man wants to have a conversation with me because now retired, no income, arthritis is kicked in, the whole shebang, right? So technically we can say you now need me,
Mhm.
or you now need my financial assistance, so to speak,
Mm.
right? And I then call him out on it. I'm like, nah, let's take a step back, right?
Mm.
Now that you don't have a source of income and you now depend on me and the siblings to take care of you, now I'm important.
Right.
When I don't
Okay.
give you, when I don't give you what you're looking for, I'm insignificant. You don't care about me.
Mm.
But when there's money exchanging hands, or me giving you that money, then I'm worthy.
Mm.
Like, make it make sense. I'm like, no, I'm not your bank or your financial institution that you just keep taking from. I'm not your ATM, right? You have shown me that as a person or as your child, you don't care about me. So why should I care about you?
Oof.
And it was at that time, I think that is the most heartbreaking conversation we ever had, because at that point it was gloves off. And the conclusion of it was, you are dead to me.
Yo.
I mourned, and I told him, when I was in that hospital room waiting to go to surgery after the people who truly showed me love had spoken to me, I mourned my relationship with you. I
Mm.
mourned that perfect human being I thought you were,
Mm.
and realized that that person died and is not coming back. There is
Mm.
this person, this selfish human being, who now sees me as their ATM. I
Mm.
mourned my relationship with you. You, as far as I'm concerned, you are dead to me. I can't
Mm.
be bothered. I don't care. I don't care what you do, what you say, and don't bother sending me or your sisters or any other relatives to try and counsel or talk to me. I'm not having it. I'm not interested.
Mm.
And we went for a good maybe 4 to 5 years of me never calling him, like,
Mhm.
not at all. If ever he wanted to speak to me, maybe he had to, like, maybe take a chance when mom is on the phone with me,
Mm.
and he hears my voice over the phone,
Mm.
and then he throws in, oh, how are you doing, my child? How are things? When are you coming to see us? And that was it. And when I would come, I wasn't sleeping. I would not visit and stay at the house. I would stay somewhere else, come in at a time where I know that normally he won't be there. So half the time he'll then get her, oh, she was here. She didn't stay long.
Mm.
Oh, she was here. She didn't stay long, until my tete, that would be his sister, then sat me down and said, you know what?
Mm.
You need peace in your life. And as long
Mm.
as you're living the way you're living and things are the way they are, you're never going to have that peace. You're never going to be at a place in your life where you feel that you are okay.
Mm.
You always carry this bone of contention towards him and the whole world. It will dampen your personality and your perception about people. There are still some very good people out there, but
Mm.
you may manifest all the
Mm.
idiots and all the terrible people simply because this is the aura that you are carrying or you're
Yeah.
giving off.
Yeah.
You're possibly manifesting a lot of these bad things and bad people that come into your life because you're not in a good place.
Mm.
And then she said to me, I don't need you to be best friends, but I need you to search in your soul and find a way to forgive him.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You need to allow yourself to forgive
Absolutely.
and let go of. And it's obviously it was a very emotional conversation for us, lots of tears, but she spoke the truth. And a year after that conversation,
Mm.
I can safely say that now at least we're very civil. Now, phone calls can happen, then they're two-way, and we can be in the same place and actually laugh.
Mm.
And actually laugh. Um, unfortunately, unfortunately, that arrogance we spoke about before, where someone will not allow you to question their actions
Mm-hmm.
or for a lack of accountability, if I can put it that way, that is
Mm-hmm.
still the status quo right now. That
Yeah.
I can do no wrong or you can't call me out on my wrong. I've made peace with the fact that even if I wanted to have a conversation about this with this person, it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I can allow myself to just let it go, or I can allow myself to live in the bitterness and the disappointment and always be carrying on this heaviness of, I wish this had happened or I wish that, and you are never in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, I just have a lot really going through this. First of all, I just want to say thank you for sharing that
Absolutely.
so openly, so transparently, and also recognizing the impact that it has had on you, particularly now, and how you are dealing with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I can say that it's okay to feel hurt.
Oh yeah.
And I think that is easier from my experience dealing with certain things. I think it's easier for women to deal with feeling hurt because I think you're softer by nature, so you're more expressive of it than men are.
Oh yeah.
It's
That's
it's
so
it's
true.
it's
Mm.
it's actually something that myself and two of my really good friends spoke about on a BBC interview just last week.
Mm.
We were very open that as men we don't like to be known as being hurt or being vulnerable.
Society doesn't allow you to do that. As a man, you are not allowed to cry or be in touch with your emotions. Our culture is terrible. Mm.
It frowns upon it very, very heavily. But now
Yeah.
I say it with confidence, and I say this to myself that it's okay to
Mm.
feel hurt.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
what happened to you in hospital, in particular, I think matters. It mattered
Uh-huh.
then. It
Yeah.
still matters now, because
Yeah.
what it enabled you to do was to create a boundary, which is valid.
Mm.
Boundaries are very, very valid because we have to protect our own energy and how things done to us affect us and impact
Mm.
us.
Oh
Because
yeah.
through that boundary you were able to find a means to get healing through the support of your aunt.
Mm.
So healing does take time, and you're allowed to protect your peace. And
Yes.
the most important thing I think out of all of this is that forgiveness really is for you and not for him.
Absolutely.
And this is a very difficult thing to appreciate.
Mm.
And I'm grateful that you've been able to get to this point, and it really, really supports your second point, which is
Mm.
your second lesson. Allow yourself to forgive the people that hurt you,
Yeah.
because it really lets you feel free
Oh, true.
as a person. I'm glad that at least now you can have that conversation with him, regardless of what it was.
Yeah.
You can now sit down and have a two-way chat and somewhat have a smell. That's a really nice end to the story. I was really getting worried about where it was going with the way things were being described. I'm really happy it has got to this point. But it's also important for me to point out something that I think is significant of the old generation. People repeaters of what they're exposed to.
Yes.
So one of the things I am very big on doing is being affectionate with my son.
Oh yeah.
Very affectionate, very transparent about how I'm feeling, and I listen to when he is expressing how he's feeling.
How he's feeling,
Yeah,
yes.
and I've noticed I don't need to second guess what he's thinking or what he's feeling, because if I can see it, I know the mouth is going to be open. And the most recent thing he said to me was, "Papa, I'm unhappy about something," and I'm like, "Oh." Turned off the TV because I was watching TV, and I said, "Okay, what's up?" He sat and he spoke. I mean, he's only 8. He shouldn't really be speaking more than a minute or two. He spoke for almost a good 5 minutes, just expressing how he felt about a certain situation. And when he finished, I just said, "Oh, I'm sorry you feel this way." Gave him a hug. And then the next morning, guess what he says to me? He says, "Papa, thanks for listening to me yesterday."
Oh, that's amazing.
Which is absolute. But I can do that. I can do that because I got that from my father. So it's something that is easy to repeat.
Yes.
And the same thing happens for things that are not so great.
Yeah.
Because I know there are certain things that I know I can't say to my father, "I told you." It's rude.
True.
It's
True.
absolutely rude for starters. And I've only had one situation when I've been able to say that, but I struck a deal with him. And I said to him, "Hey man, the way that I see what is going on in front of me, it's going to end this way." And then he goes off and says, "You're a prophet of doom, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Yeah, okay, call me that, but I'm just asking for permission once in my life to say I told you when something happens." And it happened down to a T. And when he's told it to me, the first thing I said is, "I told you." He obviously wasn't happy, but I made fun of it. And then it's like, "Oh yeah, I gave you permission to do that."
Oh, yeah.
So if your dad has grown up with the trait where a child, no matter how old, can never tell me what to do, could be a reflection of what he was taught by his dad, and that could be a reflection of what his dad was taught by his dad.
Oh, absolutely.
So a lot of this is potentially it's definitely out of your control because you can't tell him what to do. He made this very obvious, but maybe he doesn't know how to do better or be better. I'm not justifying him saying things to you the way but sometimes he just doesn't know how to do better.
And I totally agree with what you're saying. And it takes me back to a point I think I mentioned, or I hope I mentioned it, when I was talking about showing people grace.
Yeah.
That sometimes you also need to, I guess you need to step out of the headspace that you're in and step out of your feelings, right?
Yeah.
And look at things holistically, like you're putting out that we are what you call this, a living testimony of how we were raised, right? And when you look at it, we spoke about how our society does not allow us, allow the boy child to express emotions or have feelings. You're not allowed to cry even if you lose a limb or if you lose a parent and people are seeing you crying. There's it in Shona, they'll say, "Shinga urimurume." Like, strengthen yourself, be strong. You're a man. Why are you crying? Which is wrong. And I think for me, it has been a mission, firstly, being a female, raising a male child, right? And trying to double barrel as a mom and a dad to this boy. And also trying to correct those toxic traits that I grew up seeing or the things that I then experienced, and trying to shelter my child from those things. But at the same time, you need him to experience life for the reality that it is. You don't want to smother your child, but your child needs to know that, you know what, my mom is my best friend, or my mom is my support system. Whether what I'm going to say is something that she likes or doesn't like, but she's willing to listen. And if I'm not happy, she would, and it's her fault, she would do something to try and fix it or to try and make me happy. Even if it's not her fault that I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
And I can tell you it hasn't been easy, but don't ever downplay that statement that says it takes a village to raise a child. And I can tell you, Tinto, my village has been nothing short of amazing, because I look at my son, a teenager now, and I'm like, wow. This is I didn't do this. This is God and my village. Because on my own, I think I probably would have messed up that parenting thing a long time ago. But I look at him and I'm like, my prayer when I had this boy was, can I raise him the type of man that I would want to spend the rest of my life with? A man who's not a pushover, but at the same time, not embarrassed to express what he's feeling.
Yep.
Not expressed to, not embarrassed to embrace other people's feelings, not embraced to be, considerate of other people. And so far I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, okay, you're a naughty boy, but yeah, you're good.
Yeah, nice.
In the same breath, you're good. Like he's good, people. Going through the normal teenage things, girls, many girls, but the long and short of it is, when I look at him and I'm thinking, wow, if he continues on the trajectory he's on, he's gonna be all right. He's good. He's good. And that's all you want for your child. You want to protect them from the toxicity of the world, of the family, but also allowing them to go out in the world on their own and experience things and grow as well from whatever they learn.
I love this for you. Have a look at your phone. I've just sent you something, and I'd like you to read that out.
You're not asking for too much. You're asking the wrong for. Absolutely.
That has become my mantra.
Yeah.
In that, if I'm asking for something, and perhaps I feel it's reasonable, or maybe it might be reasonable, whatever the case. If what makes me feel at peace is exactly what it says. You're not asking for too much, you're asking the wrong person. So when you're asking for answers to certain things and you weren't getting them, and you're being told, don't ask me no questions, I'm your dad, you're a child, you were not asking for too much, you were just asking the wrong person.
The wrong person, absolutely.
Well, for those of you who've made it to the end of the episode, 2 fantastic lessons came out. The first one, prioritize your peace of mind and sanity, and we can see how this would have really worked for everyone in the story, and it certainly worked for Decca. And then number 2, allow yourself to forgive the people that hurt you. And hey, look at where you are now. You guys have been listening to another episode of The Feeling Station. I'm your host, Tinto, and I will catch you in next week's episode.
Come on.